Good evening and welcome to ESP TV. My name is Karen Bryson, and tonight our discussion will be about the pandemic, the current fiasco with what happened in D.C., and our esteemed guests this evening are Lamar Ferguson, Deanna Bray, and Cheryl Berry. First, I'm going to tell you about Lamar Ferguson, who is sitting here with us in the studio this evening. Lamar Ferguson has a Master of Fine Art and degree from Full Sail University. He also trained in the Meisner technique at the Actors Place here in Virginia. In September 2010, Fergie, as we affectionately call him, co-founded Green Room Productions Theater Group. In 2012, he merged with Marlon Hargrove to work together producing poetry slams and award-winning one-act plays. And as a producer, Fergie produced Reading for the Park Place Public Library. He is a co-producer of Green Room Productions. His stage plays include Black Girl, an Urban Cinderella Story, and Ibonic Woman with Miracle Media. He also produced a short film called Saving Grace. Okay, Fergie has performed in or starred in Mother of a Day. I was also in that movie. We had a ball. He kept us laughing constantly. The man is hilarious. Even before the show started, we were sitting here laughing the whole time. This man is a true comedian. He was also an Employee of the Year, Precinct 751, again, Saving Grace, and other films and TV programs. He's been on Showtime, Amazon Prime, Discovery Channel, and as a comedian, he has worked with Cat Williams. He opened for Charlie Murphy, Jordan Rock, and Shantae Wayans. Oh my gosh, what haven't you done?
Go to the 7-Eleven right up this road here. It looked kind of scary. I haven't done that yet.
Well, I want a blueberry Slurpee going up that way, okay?
Actually, I forgot to put in there, like with Green Room Productions, I actually co-founded that with Billy D. And he's out of Norfolk as well.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Our next guest is Cheryl Berry. Let me tell you a little bit about Cheryl. She is the owner of Elderberry Group, where she consults on political strategy and other branding. She is a licensed financial advisor with securities with 7 years of financial industry experience and over 20 years of media and communications experience. Cheryl is known to increase branding, messaging, and profitability by developing, deploying, improving, and sustaining impactful marketing, services, and programs. Cheryl is unique in that she blends financial, sales, leadership, marketing, communications, and development competencies. Currently, Cheryl serves on Black Brand, the Hampton Roads Black Business Chamber, as the Director of Programming and Events. She is a graduate of Syracuse University and 2017 class of Virginia Association of Broadcasters, Best of the Best Leadership Program. She has served as a Special Olympics coach, secretary for the Spartanburg NAACP, chair for the African American Leadership Council for United Way, and numerous other accomplishments. This woman is extraordinary.
Yes.
We have a lot to talk about this evening with you, Cheryl.
That's right.
Welcome and thank you for being with us.
I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Our final guest this evening is Deanna Millie Bray. Millie turned to music, as I'm given to understand, as a coping mechanism after her grandmother passed. In middle school, she started a girl group called Blaze and was the leader, writer, engineer, and producer. The group eventually split up, and in 2006, Millie teamed up with one of her elder siblings and a friend as they formed a group called Street Swaggers. This group also ended, so Millie went solo with no real success, so during this period of time, she became homeless and pregnant with her fourth child. Shortly thereafter, she was incarcerated in 2007 and then released in 2008. It wasn't until 2012 that Millie's luck changed and she started her first radio podcast called Real Talk Radio, where she shared testimonial stories about her life. Her platform opens it's just sad reading and thinking about it, but this woman has been through so much. Her platform opens an avenue for any and all talent to use their own voice on her podcast. In 2019, she began an online hair weave extension business called Lady Envy Hair, LLC. Her strength and determination to succeed has been instilled in her daughters and their own businesses, which is called a small black business called Fun Sunshades for Kids. Millie also did a documentary on full life story struggle being a black mother with 7 children. Your struggle is amazing, and we can only commend you for everything that you've been through.
That's
and
right.
what you have accomplished and are accomplishing. Welcome to ESP TV this evening.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys, and thank you so much.
No problem.
Well, let's get started this evening and discuss the fiasco of yesterday.
The elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room. So why don't we get that out of the way first?
Yes.
I was so disgusted. I felt the impotence of being one person and what's nothing that we can do, because it seems like no matter how far we've come in life, no matter what as minorities we have done and accomplished and contributed, there's always going to be entitlement for the Caucasian factor. What really hit home was on media this evening, I saw a woman on the newscast. Her name was Elizabeth, and she said she was from Knoxville, Tennessee. She said that
Elizabeth.
she was in the march, and the protesters that stormed the Capitol said that she got 1 foot inside the door before she got maced, and now they're all ready for a revolution.
Elizabeth looked like she was on methamphetamine.
Listen, and what actually math and all of it combined, and a 7-Eleven cheeseburger and all of this
Yes,
combined
come on
in
with it.
one,
Come on,
mixed
Fergie.
with like
Right?
Slurpees from the trailer park. You know what I mean?
Fergie, tell us.
But the way I felt about this situation was the white privilege.
Yes.
They had the audacity to storm onto the Capitol, march down those hallways without any face covering, saying, "Look, I'm on camera. I can do this because I'm white. This is our America." That's what they were saying by storming through the U.S. Capitol. Now, when Black Lives Matter marched, these guys currently are marching for an election.
Right.
No particular cause. No one was harmed or fouled during the election. When you went to go put in your vote for Trump, no one maced you, and you didn't have to cross all that. You walked, you punched, and that was your choice.
Right.
But he didn't win. Now, when Black Lives Matters march, we marched. This is not just from the past summer. This is from years of brutality. This is from past Rodney King, where he was beaten on camera and they let him go. It was before. It's all of that anger built up because Rodney King was like, okay, finally America get to see what we're talking about. We're not lying. And they still do nothing. But fast forward, these guys were being maced. That even when they were kneeling, and they would say, okay, you can't kneel here, you got to go home. They were picked up, and actually some were even drugged, and beaten and put in the paddy wagon.
Right.
But these people that stormed the Capitol, they were escorted out of the building, helped down the stairs, and then after they're gone, now they say, hey, we're on a manhunt looking for these people that went through the building. What do you mean? You let them go. That's what white privilege looked like.
Absolutely. Cheryl, what do you have to add to this?
I'm only surprised that the American public is surprised. I'm not surprised by this behavior at all. I'm not surprised by what happened. We all know that Donald J. Trump incited the violence.
That's right.
We all know this. We all know that these people all somehow directly, may indirectly work for or serve at the pleasure of the President of the United States. And so I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that Capitol Security let them in. I'm not surprised. And you mentioned, Mr. Ferguson or Lamont, that they didn't have facial coverings. What I noticed in the different pictures that I looked at is these people had tactical gear. They had probably better military grade equipment than the Capitol Police. I saw one sad Capitol Police officer waving one lonely baton at people and running away. I mean, hey, I grew up, just a funny fact about me, I grew up in Connecticut. My brother and I were the first only black students to enter our public elementary school in the 80s. I'm not surprised, and I'm only surprised that other people are surprised. The only thing about today is the United States of America at large, just like the 60s, when they finally started showing how African Americans and black people were hosed and chased with dogs, when they finally started showing that in the national media, then the rest of the people go, oh. But me, from where I come from, I'm not surprised. And I'm not, and I won't be surprised if Donald Trump doesn't get convicted of anything down the road, because I think that he has spent his life gathering blackmail material. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. This is not licensed. This isn't financial advice or anything like that. I just have to throw that disclaimer in there. But I believe that Donald Trump has spent his life. His son-in-law, his family owns the tabloids, owns a tabloid media paper. So he spent his life digging up dirt and blackmailing people with it. I think that's why some of the people, like you would have noticed, Senator Lindsey Graham initially couldn't stand Donald Trump. Oh, he's unethical, and now he's like his best friend and on his side. Yes, after Donald Trump released his cell phone number and all that information on him during the elections, 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm not surprised, and I'm only surprised if the people watching, people viewing, I'm only surprised when other people are surprised. Like, really, you're surprised?
Oh, yeah.
Well, to some extent, I think that some of this latest BS is surprising us. Millie, how are you weighing in on all this?
Well, I'm not really the type to really get into politics. However, when I seen what I seen on television yesterday, I kind of was surprised, but then again, I wasn't. I was surprised because of the boldness, the disrespect, just how they, just disrespected the entire White House. There were even people who lost their jobs behind it. I even heard that there was a guy that came in there with his actual work uniform on and was prosecuted, Again, like I said, I really don't discuss politics, but I feel like this is all about white privilege. They did that to make a statement.
That's right.
That,
Absolutely.
this is their world. They can do whatever they want, whenever they want. They can violate however they want. And I really feel like, honestly, I feel like Donald Trump should be prosecuted to the highest extent because he was so unpresidential, just so unprofessional in how he handled the situation. I'm just disgusted. Again, like the host said, I'm disgusted, honestly. And I feel like if our people stick together, we can really make changes like that. Well, not in a negative way, but we can make changes if we all stick together.
That's right.
Well, there are a lot of people that feel like you as well, that they don't want to be involved in politics, but the politics affect us all.
That's right.
And
Yes,
right
it does.
now, since half of America is drinking the Kool-Aid that 45 has given them, it definitely has affected all of us to some certain extent.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
are in a terroristic country right now.
Can
Yes.
I add to that?
You certainly can. Jump in there.
this kind of piggyback of what's going on. There were lawmakers that was in those groups.
Right.
There was a lawmaker from West Virginia that made its way into it. There were lawyers that was in this group. So I'm just like you all. It's not a surprise. They knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
They walked past these people.
Yes.
They were able to walk through those halls untouched. The security guard that you saw was running for his life because
Yes,
he
he
didn't know
was.
what was going on.
Because
He was
the guy
armed.
even asked him, "What are you going to hit me? What are you going to
Yeah.
do? You going to hit all of us?"
Yeah, so they
He
know,
asked.
and they were alerted on how to do this.
Yes.
45 was in his chambers looking at the destruction, the treasonous behavior. Like they talk about impeachment. They're talking about impeachment. That's going to take forever. They need to just go ahead and invoke the 25th Amendment and just stop talking about it and pull them out. Because I know 100% if that was President Barack Obama with that type of behavior, they would have pulled him out of there. And yeah, I know he got 2 weeks left. Just let him. No, he needs to be pulled out.
The only hesitation I see with that is because he has mastered his way through 4 years of bigotry, bullying, obnoxious behavior, and evidently the powers that be, the money powers, the ones that are entitled, are still standing behind him and believe what he's saying to be true, that they want to basically put minorities in our place, that they want it to be a supremacist country. I, as Cheryl said, as one of those theorists, I honestly believe that he is in cahoots with Russia or some other country, and they have promised him, they know that they're not going to follow through, but have promised him something if he destroyed America and let them be a superpower instead of us. I mean, it only makes sense. Who would consciously go out and destroy everything America is if it wasn't something, cobalt behind it?
And then if you look at...
I'll give you my
if you-
conspiracy theory. I'll give you my conspiracy theory. I'm
Okay,
sorry,
all right.
but
No problem.
Donald Trump, he was given, billion dollars, millions of dollars from his family. He's not a successful entrepreneur. He actually has been sued several times, and he has just as much, it's stated or alleged that he has just as much debt as he has actual liquid cash. And with that, he's defaulted. It's been reported that he's defaulted on several financial endeavors, loans. He's known allegedly to not pay his bills or pay his debt. And so at some point, the banks in the United States stopped lending money to him on a large scale. So where did Donald Trump get the money from? He had to go overseas to countries such as Russia to borrow money. And I believe that is one of the reasons why he wanted to hide his tax returns, not just to say that he only owed us $750 and all the tax loopholes that he fudged and pushed the line on, but because the fact that he's borrowed millions of dollars from foreign countries, that's what puts us at a national security risk. And
Absolutely.
so whether he's a willing pawn in the game, whether he's not a willing pawn in the game, he is a national security threat, in my opinion.
Do you all feel collectively or individually that as a parting shot, that he is going to plan something so outrageous before he leaves on the 20th, before the keys are handed over to incoming President Biden? Do you think he's going to cause something so major and catastrophic that it's really going to affect us even more so than it has?
I believe so, and what actually assisting in that is the cutoff from social media.
Okay.
And the reason why I say the cutoff from social media, now we don't know his moves. Okay, so you have someone that's unstable,
Okay.
that's in the office, that you don't know what he's going to do next. he can't resort to the social media now where he can say, "Come on, Proud Boys, stand up." This now, because when he was doing that, we should have been prepared for what was happening. DC should have been prepared because he's been saying this all along. He said the election was rigged, and if we lose, they cheated, and we're going to cause hell. This is words from the president. The sitting president said this. So DC should have been prepared for this. And he's not only said it through the news outlets, he tweeted it out, but now we have, not we, but they have taken his outlet, the social media outlet. Now he's a ticking time bomb.
How have they taken it? Because he can still go on Twitter, he can still go on any other media. Is
Well,
it Fox
if-
News behind him?
Well,
and
if they
supporting
can
him?
trace, they can block him, unless he creates a whole new account under an alias, like other people do. They'll create another account under an alias and still pull out that rhetoric. So he still can do that, but by them taking that away, now we don't know what's going on. Now everything is underground. Now it's via email. They probably shoot stuff out to these guys, the Proud Boys, whoever they are, to destroy whatever needs to be destroyed. And then he still have the keys to the football, which is that suitcase that the president carries, and that's the nuclear keys. So he can do anything unless they pull him out of office. Now, the key factor in that, can Pence handle the next 2 weeks with them pulling him from office?
Pence is
Well,
definitely
the executive
been quiet
branch-
here. Go on, Cheryl.
The
What were you going to say?
process is pretty long, actually.
Mhm.
I was
Okay.
listening to some different lawyers talking about the process of invoking the 25th Amendment. So the vice president actually has to, invoke the 25th Amendment. He has to get certain members. I think he has to get 5 or 6 members of the executive of the cabinet to agree. Then you have to go through Congress, and there's like a 21-day window there. So I don't know if there's an expedited process. Congress should have acted months ago. They should have acted years ago. And, the executive branch is not an exclusive power. We've got different powers. We have Congress, who is an equal power, equal to the executive branch, equal to the president. But because of, just because of the infighting, just because of the fighting between the Democrats and the Republicans, because the House is controlled by the Democrats, the Senate has been controlled by the Republicans, there just hasn't been any compromise, and there hasn't been any way. And that's what I think now that it's official that Trump will be leaving office January 20th.
Right.
That is why some of the Republicans have finally got their spine back and is scared of, and that's what they are. They're scared. They know right from wrong, but they've been scared this entire time. And so, yeah.
Let me key in on that and just add that perhaps Pence and the remaining people, his minions that are following behind him, do you think that at any point, perhaps because they are staunchly supporting him, knowing that he's wrong, even just morally within yourself, you ought to know right from wrong. Do you think he has threatened them in any way? That there could be some covert threatening going on?
Yes, I would like to chime in on that. Absolutely. I feel like Donald Trump is a bully, a big bully.
Yes.
And I believe that's a part of his plan. That's pretty much it.
Millie, do you feel that none of this has really affected your life and your livelihood with what the government has been doing? You have 7 children. Do you not think that this has somewhere along the line with 45 being in office for these last 4 years has not affected you in some overt way?
Actually, yes, it has, and definitely financially, so to speak, with the stimulus situation. That has definitely taken a toll on my household. And I feel like, again, Donald Trump knows what he's doing. He has it out for people like us. He wants to torture us. And Biden seems like he's trying to save us, but I really feel like before the 20th, he's really going to do something. I really feel like that was just a warning shot to
Mm-hmm.
let them know that they're not having him being in their office because he wants to help people like me, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Right. Let me ask you all something else collectively. With all of the pardons that he's rushing to give to all of his friends,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, that have done some shady things while he's been in office, has anyone that's ever had a presidential pardon been unpardoned? Is there something that they can do to undo it? Does anyone know anything about that?
I'm not sure if that can.
I
They've
believe that
been
there was
I'm
they've
not
been
sure.
someone
talking.
that was working for him, I believe, that just recently resigned because she did not agree with what he was
Mm-hmm.
doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
I didn't really get
There's
her
not.
name. Oh, go ahead.
Where did you hear this,
I don't know
Millie?
about.
On the news?
Yes, ma'am, on the news last night. One
Mm-hmm.
had
Hmm.
recently resigned right then and there. I feel like she knows a lot, and I think that's why she's pulling herself away from the situation.
I believe that was Mitch McConnell's wife. Is that the one that that's the first person that came resigned? Is
The,
that
Yes, I believe
Elaine
so.
Chao,
I believe
Elaine
so.
Chao,
Mm-hmm.
the Secretary of Transportation. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
she Elaine Chao. She spoke out today. But in terms of the question that you asked, Karen, that's one of the questions that they would bring to the Supreme Court in terms of can a president pardon his friends to circumvent crimes that he's committed? And that's one of the reasons why Donald Trump rushed to force through and stack the Supreme Court with
That's
three of
right.
his picks in the last two
Absolutely.
years.
Absolutely.
And so I think that Democratic Congress, Democratic president, they need to expand the Supreme Court. They need to move to expand the Supreme Court and undo those pardons. And I think that if Donald Trump hasn't done anything in the last 4 years, he has exposed the different weaknesses
Mm-hmm.
in our power structure and the way our government is structured,
Mm-hmm.
and the pardon everything. But I think that is one of the questions. I don't know about the previous history, but that is a question that a lot of legal pundits a lot of political pundits have been discussing. Can a sitting president, does the Constitution give him a right to issue a pardon um, that is related to his own crimes? And that includes people who committed crimes on his behalf.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be some legislation or something somewhere. Let me ask each of you singularly now. I'll start with Fergie. Um, Considering the current state of America and what's occurring with the 45 followers, what are you prepared to do to keep your family safe and protect your household?
Protect them by any means necessary. Um, you, I don't have to say anything else besides that.
Okay, that
have
says a lot.
have a wife and 3 girls,
Absolutely.
and so by any means necessary. I'm not gonna go out there to start trouble,
Right.
but I'm gonna protect my home.
Millie, what about you?
Yes, I definitely agree. By any means necessary.
Cheryl?
I actually, I'm single, but in the past I had stepchildren. I had boys, and they were my stepsons, so to speak. And I took them out to the tactical field in Chesapeake, which is right on the line. And it's a different world out there. It's called Ballahack Airsoft Field, but I've taken the kids. I've gone out there before, and it's a tactical field. And you will see. There's no other way for me to explain this, but people are training for war games every single weekend,
Mm.
I believe it. I
and
believe it.
with tactical gear. And I think that we just need to expose our people to a more strategic way of thinking and being. I need to get my CWP.
Mm-hmm.
I have, um, I know a lot of people who are armed. I do have arms, but I need to get my CWP. I actually have a bulletproof pack that I carry with me when I go out. But I haven't really been out that much since. But if I were to go to a demonstration like this,
Right.
if they have bulletproof vests, if they have tactical gear, I'm gonna have tactical gear.
Mhm.
Do you all honestly feel that if you're licensed and have the right to carry, that we will have those same privileges and extensions given us if a police officer or anyone else sees you with a gun, whether they're going to stop and say, okay, let me see your certification. Are you licensed to carry this instead of shooting first?
Well, that happens with the Costello case. Did I pronounce the name right? The gentleman that was in the car. This is about 2 years ago. The one, and he was in his car. He got pulled over. His child was in the back seat. His girlfriend was beside him,
I remember that.
and the police officer said, "Where's your license and registration?" He told them, "I'm going to go in here, but I have a license to
Mhm.
carry."
Right.
And then when he did that,
He shot.
he was shot and killed.
Yeah.
So um, the law allows so much, and the law allows people to follow. So being a protector of the law, as a police officer, they feel that, okay, yeah, I have the choice to follow the law. We have to follow. He has the choice because I know what to do. And because when they put those guns into that car and those bullets into that young man, they got off.
Yeah.
And with
You know, you
video,
can't.
with
You
video,
have
I'm
a
sorry, go ahead.
CWP. No, I'm sorry. You can't have a CWP in this climate and wear a mask.
That's right.
If you can't hold a concealed weapon and wear a mask. So you've got all these different things that are working
These
against each other.
variables, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And but a lot of people are walking around breaking the law right now because they're required to wear a mask, but they've got their concealed weapons permit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I see people in a dollar store, Walmart, 7-Eleven with their gun on the side, and I might light up it like, yo, you in a dollar store with a gun on your side, like what I mean, but all jokes aside, that's the climate we live in,
It is now.
and racism existed before Donald Trump and was this after. He just uncovered a lot of
He
the
allowed
rhetoric.
it to
He
occur and
allowed
come
it-
to the surface is what
yes.
he did.
Mhm.
Millie, do you have all daughters or do you have sons and daughters?
I have sons and daughters. I have 4 boys and 3 girls, actually.
Mm.
And
How
it
old
really
are your
scares
sons
me
and
because,
how
mhm.
the question
I'm
I was
sorry, go
going to
ahead.
ask, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
The ages of your sons, are you fearful every time they walk out the door?
Oh, God, absolutely. I have an 18-year-old, and he's really into sports and music and things like that, so he's always out. And yes, absolutely, I fear for his life every day. Um, it's just sad that the society that we live in, it's set up to kill, steal, and destroy from us, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just sad, but yes, I do.
How old were they when you began telling them, look, you have to look a certain way, talk a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
walk a certain way when you're
Hmm.
out in public so that you will not be stopped? And it doesn't seem to matter whether they're doing anything or not because the police can still violate their space and
Absolutely.
they don't have to feel protected. How old were they when you started telling them how to react?
I think my son was about 10. There was an incident that he had. He had a fight with an older boy, and there was a weapon involved. One of the guys had a gun. The police were called, and my son was pretty much the target. And I believe it was because of his appearance.
Mm-hmm.
And I really felt like that wasn't right. It wasn't fair. But again, this is the society that we're living in. But I definitely talk to
Absolutely.
them and teach them what to say when when you're around a cop. Be respectful, polite. Don't try to speak out of term. All of those things matter because in a split second, you know,
It
your
can
life can
change,
change.
yes.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
As a matter of
Fergie,
fact,
you have daughters.
I
What have
was
you
gonna,
talked to, what
I
have you
was
said to
gonna,
your daughters?
I was gonna say that we focus on the young men, but
Right.
Hmm.
I inform my daughters all the time on how to carry yourself. I have a 16-year-old, and she's trying to drive and stuff like that. So I tell her tell her about what you can and cannot do, and if you get pulled over, what you need to do. So I prepare. We prepare our children, although they're all females, for the climate that we live in. My daughters, they all watch the news. My 7-year-old, she can tell you what's going on, because we keep them abreast, and so it's not a shock. So when they get out in the public, oh man, that man, he's doing this, or no, they know. I had one incident. This was like 2-3 years ago,
Okay.
and it wasn't. So my youngest, she got sick. Okay, we were going to Fredericksburg to see my pops or grandparents, and she got sick in the car. So we pulled over. And mind you, that's 3 years ago, so she was about 4 years old. We pulled over, state trooper pulled up behind us. He got out, and I'm cleaning out the bucket because she had, got sick and doing all that, and I just held chill, stand against the car. And he pulled over. He walked up slowly. He was like, "Is everything all right? Everything all right?" I was like, "Yeah, we're good." And I told him, she got sick. That's why we pulled over. Thanks for checking. And he looked at her and he said, "Oh, are you okay?" And she pulled back.
Instinct.
She pulled back. So he said, "Okay, I understand. You don't talk to strangers." He went to go back to his car. He went and got one of them police, color books or whatever, community color books. So he tried to give it to her as like a peace officer,
Right.
peace offering.
And she wouldn't take it.
And she wouldn't take it. And that's at the age of 4. Because we tell them, and they see what's going on. So they see on the news who's doing the crime, who's killing the, blacks, not just black on black crime, but the police officers. You were supposed to, you were out there, you're supposed to serve and protect, but you're
Everybody,
killing
yeah.
people. So when he came up to her, she pulled back. Whereas a police officer, I know when I was growing up in the city of Detroit, if you saw a police, "Hey man, what's going on?" But now they like, "No, I don't trust you," and it's unfortunate for the good cops that's out there.
Right. Because all of them are not corrupt
But my challenge to those guys, they need to stand up. They need to stand up, and not just stand up in their precinct. "Oh no, man, that was wrong." You need to stand up on the news, in the media, get on social media, you need to stand up. Because it's so many officers out there that's bad. We know every officer is not bad, but the good ones need to stand up. Because if they don't stand up, the kids that's growing up, they're going to continue to think all cops are bad.
But the flip side of that, Fergie, is the fact that they all bleed blue, meaning that just like in the service, you have to have each other's back and be able to depend on another person in a situation to know that your fellow police officer is going to back you up. So in order to get along, they have to basically be in agreement, whether they like it or not, with the corrupt ones, which is sad because in order for them to maintain a job and not be harassed by their own, they have to do some things that they may not want to, and it's sad. It really is.
I mean, if you look at George Floyd, you have 5 officers that's on the scene. One man down on the ground, the other officer knee is in his neck, and everyone else is just standing around.
And no one's saying anything.
No one's
Exactly.
saying anything. Now, I used to work in a residential facility.
Okay.
I worked at alternative school, and we were taught, to have to put hands on and take kids down, if they get violent. We were taught, so I know that the police are taught. if somebody say that they cannot breathe, you must let them up. And when you get up, you guard yourself so they won't swing and hit you on the way up, whatever. But if they say they can't breathe, it is your job to now get up and let that man up or that female up off the ground. And when he made a point and he looked into his cameras, the cell phone cameras, and kept his knee on his neck.
And that was orchestrated. Did
Mhm.
either one of you ladies have anything else you would like to add on this particular portion of the discussion before we move on to something else? No? Okay. Deanna, you have an interesting bio here. Tell us about your business, Lady Envy Hair. I'm interested in how that came about, considering some of the other things on your bio.
Well, actually, actually, a friend of mine came to me with the idea because I was already in a really bad financial situation, and we were both in the midst of trying to look for, some sort of jobs. And this was around the time when Donald Trump first got in the chair. And so times are really hard. And so I just had to, I told myself, as a single black mother, I have to do something. I can't just sit around and wait on the government to feed my family. And so I just took a stand, and, my friend came up with the idea. I did my research, looked it up, make sure everything was legit, and Lady Envy was born.
And that is
Congrats.
amazing. Cheryl, as a financial advisor,
Thank you.
What tips or what other organizations or what else could you relate to Millie to help her in her cause with the various businesses that she's running? That plus with her daughter's business, Fun Sun Shades for Kids.
It's a tongue twister.
Yeah, it was.
I'm not just a financial advisor. I'm actually a licensed financial advisor, which means I have a securities license and securities background for investments. And as a part of that, I cannot give advice. I can't give blanket advice to any individual without meeting with them and understanding their full financial situation. Only thing I would suggest is, if you'd like to, you can call me and we can talk offline. But not giving financial advice, but just giving sound advice. I see a lot of businesses right now getting scammed. I see a lot of
exactly
people,
right now.
I see a lot of people, in my opinion, as I'm surfing through social media. I see all the social media scammers and pundits and people charging people. Oh, I'll charge you to form your LLC. I'll charge you. I'm charging you to get your EIN number. Pay me, and I'll help you do this. And pay me, and these folks, they're not doing any service to a small business owner. There's a lot of these things that you can do on your own. That you can find free resources for. And so I get really disappointed when I see people charging for certain services that I feel like, now it might not be common knowledge, but it's knowledge that if you asked me, I might give to you. I just tell you how to do it. And there's all these people out there that are charging exorbitant fees.
Absolutely.
For things. They're charging people to get an LLC, which is something that you could go online and do for $75. They're charging people to get an EIN number, which is something you can go online and get for yourself for free. So my advice is really, choose your mentors correctly. Don't just choose the person with the fancy shoes and who is fancy and a smooth talker. Really do your homework, because a lot of the time that the people that are really the experts, they're not. I don't know. I think the people that are really the experts, they're not the people that are out there that people think of readily.
Okay, well, with everyone having to be more creative since last year and trying to pool their resources or come up with different ways to make financial ends meet within their households, obviously a lot of people are not coming up with EIN numbers and legitimate businesses, but they are coming up with businesses to make ends meet, which means that they may not know who to go to or to use as a resource in order to do it a more economical way. So how would someone turn to or look for someone to help and guide them without feeling that they're being taken advantage of or used?
You have the Small Business Association, the SBA. They offer free resources. Most of a lot of the universities that are here in our footprint, they're offering free resources. They have the Norfolk State University Innovation Center. You have the ODU Innovative Center, Black Brand, the local Hampton Roads Business Chamber that I'm a part of. You have to be a member, but we do have a bunch of workshops and courses. There's resources out there. Different cities have different resources. They have grant money within different cities. The Norfolk Economic Development Department. All of the cities, a lot of the cities here in our area, I'm going to say with the exception of Virginia Beach, they actually have a lot of resources for business owners. And I really love the folks at the city of Norfolk in particular because they're the ones that I found to be the most accessible and the friendliest and the kindest, and who will really just be open and honest with individual business owners in terms of hand-holding, I'm going to say, explaining to them they need to fill out the application. But when you go to the different workshops like the NSU or ODU Business Center, some of those centers, or the SBA, they'll tell you if you even have a good business idea. One of the conversations I was having with some different people recently is, there's a couple of reasons why there's a discrepancy between Black-owned businesses and our counterparts in terms of the size and the magnitude. One is we don't have the initial funding and the backup and the resources. We don't have the capital to scale our businesses and to grow our businesses. The other reason is, some of the business ideas, we didn't evaluate them to begin with to see what the actual income potential or what our market size was.
Okay.
The multi-level marketing, all those different things of the past. How rich are you going to get with multi-level marketing? There's going to be a couple of people who are going to get rich, but the ones, not the people who come on at the tail end.
Right.
Okay, well, tell me this. Tell me if this is a good business idea. Check this out, Ms. Cheryl. I want to open up a store next to the big lots. I'm going to call it Little Lots. And we want to sell hot chocolate milkshakes. Would that work?
Where's the location? How many children live in that area? How many people who have a sweet tooth live in that area?
Directly next to. And if I have to build it right in front of it, I can do that too. So it'll be Little Lots. You have to.
Stop. He's teasing you.
I'm messing
Millie,
with
let me ask you a question. He's really teasing.
No.
Millie, considering that you already have the one business, your LLC, was it easier for you to get an LLC, or at least get your daughter's Fun Sun Shades for Kids? Was it easier to establish their business since you were already in business?
Oh, well, actually, yeah, it was kind of a hurdle because just like the other woman said about a lot of scams going on online, I kind of came across a lot of that stuff too. But in the beginning, I had done a lot of my research, and I started figuring out who were the scammers and who were the legit people. But yes, it was a little struggle, but um, thanks to the grace of God, he made it possible.
That's right.
Absolutely, and Cheryl definitely gave us some insight into what to do and what not to do. So I trust our listening audience was listening to that. Because our time is almost winding down, let me ask you all some little personal questions. You have worked with Cat Williams and several other noted comedians, and since you are a comedian yourself, because I've been trying to keep you under tow here. He is hilarious.
Thank you.
What was your best experience with maybe one or each of them?
I think actually with the late great Charlie Murphy, he is a funny guy. In front of the camera, on stage, and behind off stage, because what happened? I went to the show.
Okay.
It was like a Thursday night, and I caught the show. And then I talked to him afterwards, and just a little advice, this and the third. And he was like, "Oh man, I like up and coming comedians. Why don't you, do some time on a weekend show?" I was like, "Oh, sure, great." So I got it cleared. So I was able to do some time on the Sunday show. So I told everybody about it, and I got there, and he was sitting on the couch. I walk in the room, he's sitting right there, and I was, started talking to him. He was like, "Man, who are you?" And I was just like, "Oh man." I was like, I'm supposed to be doing the guest spot today. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just thinking in my head like, yo, like I done told all these people, and he's like, "Man, I'm just effing with you, man. Just sit down. I know who you are, Lamar." And it was just like, just for him to be able to remember my name, and
You
so
had to make an impression on him,
Yeah.
evidently.
so we just sat there, shot the breeze, talked, and it was a great show.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So
Millie, let me ask you something about the documentary that you've done regarding your life. Has anyone contacted you and said how much your testimony has helped them to maybe show them another way or been inspirational to them?
Yes, actually, I had a lot of feedback with that. A lot of people were surprised at the things that I went through, and that winded up having me starting up a women's group, a women's empowerment group on Facebook that I was doing about a year or two ago, and I'm thinking about starting it back up again.
That's amazing. Cheryl, you've been on so many boards and you were a coach for the Special Olympics. How rewarding was that for you?
All four of my grandparents were principals, and they one was a college professor, and my parents, I don't know. So to me, we've always been taught to give back, whether you want to consider it biblically or personally. Too much is given, much is required. And I just feel like it's my duty. There's an old quote: if you have more to, if you have more to give, you haven't given enough. And so I just feel like if I get $100, I have to give 10 of it back, and that's just the way I was raised. And it's not just money, it's not just your treasure, but it's your time and your talent also. And a lot of people, they don't think that there's people out there in the community that will help them. And I don't think that's true. I just think that it might not be the people who helped me, I could never actually give back to them.
Right.
And the people I help, they'll probably never give back to me. And so that's just part of life.
Lamont, in 30 seconds, tell me, how has 2020 affected you to move forward for 2021, and what is your expectation?
Well, and actually, I was constantly on the road doing stand-up comedy, so it pretty much sat me down and said, "Okay, you need to do something else." So also, it allowed me to spend more time with my family. During this time, I was able to create with Ronald Lindsay Fresh Option TV, which is on Roku television and Amazon Fire TV.
Nice.
So it allowed me to create that and partner with Ronald Lindsay and to be able to create content to put on Fresh Option Television. So y'all got that Fresh Option TV. Not to slight ESP TV, but listen, Fresh Option Television is on Roku TV and Amazon Fire TV. So that's
Okay.
what 2020 allowed me to do. And so in 2021, we're gonna be, creating content. I'm gonna be continuing writing.
Okay.
Currently, I'm writing a feature film, converting it from a book called Powder Blue, and we're creating a feature film out of that. So
Okay.
that's and then hopefully I'll get back to the stage and prayerfully actually, and I've been doing a lot of private events. So
Well,
eventually-
business-wise, if someone wanted to contact you to hire you for any one of your many skills, how would they get in touch with you?
Oh, you can look on the screen. No, it's not up there. I only have the lower third for that. But you can go to my Facebook page, or if you don't do social media, actually we have a website. It's freshoptiontv.com, and you can message us, and I can get right to you in regards
Sounds
to
like
that.
a
So
plan.
that's very easy. Freshoptiontv.com, and then of course Lamar Ferguson on Facebook and Instagram and Tickety Talk, all that stuff.
Sounds like a plan. Millie, if you wanted someone to get in touch with you, considering what you're doing with your podcast and everything else, how would they contact you?
Well, actually, I have a Facebook page already.
Okay.
It's Deanna Bray on Facebook, or you can go to Lady Envy, www.ladyenvyhair.com, and I'll definitely be
Awesome.
able to get back to them.
Okay.
Great. Cheryl, how can someone contact you for your many skills, especially financial?
I have a website. It's elderberrygroup.com. If you Google me, if you're looking for a financial advisor, you can actually just type in my name, and my website for my financial advisor should come up. If you can contact Ernest. On social media, I do have a Clubhouse account. It's at God's Work, because I'm God's work. I'm God's child. And
Amen.
All
I'm
right,
trying
go
to,
ahead, sister.
I'm trying to do God's work. But social media, I actually my social media tagline says no new friends. So you need a referral to get on my social media. So you have to hit up Ernest. But those are my others.
Thank you so much. Each one of you has been invaluable on today's show. We've learned a lot from each other. We've heard opinions, both pro and con, for where America is going and what we hope to accomplish. I really appreciate all of you all. I hope our listening audience has appreciated this as well. This has been ESP TV. My name is Karen Bryson. And as always, be a blessing to at least one other person.
And I'm
Good
Lamar
night.
Ferguson. Good night. See y'all at 7-Eleven. Get a Slurpee or something.
Yes, sir.
A blue.
Yeah, a blueberry.
No orange Slurpees ever again.
Just a blueberry.
Yeah. Donald Trump game.
Have a good evening, good people.
Yeah.
I don't even want